Hey, welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. So know that energy is fluid, roles can be reversed. Interpret the message as it always best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play it as karmic themes along with everything else. This gives you an opportunity to see your situation from a different perception. That's very healing all on its own, but it'll also help you to see how you contribute to the undesirable life experiences that play out within your experiences, which will help you see where your spiritual blocks are. And that allows you to incorporate new things that are going to help you heal and to create balance in your life. And when I say new things, it's just to integrate the spiritual lesson. Whenever we have a block, we can't just get rid of the negative energy. We have to transmute the energy. And how we transmute energy is first it's the awareness, and then it's the actual do something different, change the energy. So if we're seeing something negatively, it's to be able to make it into a positive, kind of like a making lemonade out of lemons, per se. Like that's pretty much what you have to do with your shadows. You can't just get rid of shadows, just like you can't just get rid of negative energy, because the whole point is that you're learning, you're evolving. That's why people have spiritual blocks, is to help create awareness. All right. Now let's just jump right on in today. If you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you have to be open to getting a shadow reading. You got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always on the first card that I pull out. It's the underlining energy that tells me why everyone's doing what they're doing. This is really important when we're looking at shadows. I also wanted to share something else, but I forgot. All right. It just flew out of my head. Okay, let's see, let's see. Let's see. The word of the video is shame. Shame. Well, shame is a spiritual block that's held within the root chakra. And so it's a energy that tends to repeat in our lives. So it plays out within karmic experiences. So karmic relationships. And I feel like you have a karmic relationship with someone that's in shame. And I feel like that tends to be their karmic theme. And it's the karmic theme because they trauma, trauma when you are brought up in a home that's really imbalanced. And when I say imbalanced, I'm talking about that there could be sexual abuse, there could be drug abuse, there could be anything that creates a lot of terror within the child where they don't feel safe. Also, not just did scary things per se happen, but it's almost like when you had a parent bully you. And so that tends to also bring about shame. And the reason why is because then you go out into the world and you perceive that everyone doesn't like you. And so you do things to numb the feeling of not being liked. It's so I feel like this person continues to get in their own way when it comes to relationships because they don't like who they are. And then not just do they sabotage your relationship, but they sabotage their life. And they sabotage their life because in order to deal with their trauma, they have to numb themselves. People tend to have a lot of different habits in order to deal with trauma. But the biggest thing that comes about is when we see it in relationships. And I feel like you're connected to someone that is extremely stubborn and they are not used to regular relationships. What they're used to is attachments. And attachments are based on what this person like needs or what they perceive to need. So emotional support is also a need, but I feel like this person tends to not give anything emotionally. They tend to be emotionally unavailable, but then they expect the other person to give 100%, like show up all the time emotionally. And so uh attachments are created because there's people that have their severe low self-esteem, and they feel like there's pieces of them missing, or pieces of them that they just don't work, that their life doesn't work. And so life may work in relationship, but then it doesn't work in a career. Or if it works in a career, it doesn't work in a relationship. And it's usually always doesn't work in a relationship. And unfortunately, when you have spiritual block for long periods of time, in one area, it begins to bleed into other areas. It's just because you can't feel inadequate. You cannot not like yourself. But if a person was brought up in an environment where they were bullied by a parent, then they were taught to live in fear. They were taught to live in survival. So the problem with that too is that I feel like the person's a little bit addicted to that epinephrine, that cortisol, that when we live in a place of survival, there's a lot of hormones that are being released within the body. And when we continue to do that all the time, unconsciously or consciously, we become addicted to that energy. And so it's like this person, when they're not in that survival, they tend to do things to create that serotonin hormone rush. They feel like this person tends to be very imbalanced. And that's not uncommon if a person grew up in survival mode and fear. So understand they were conditioned not to like themselves. And so whenever we are taught not to like ourselves, our life is not going to work in a lot of areas, not just one area. And that is what keeps this person stuck in not liking who they are, because they're like, see, my life doesn't work. See, I had a job and I lost a job. See, I get money, I lose money. It's that they're not able to go with the flow of life. People that grew up in a lot of trauma, but like that were bullied and lived in fear, they tend to try to create support, but they don't take the time to really create the support. They don't take the time in creating themselves. They put the energy into someone else because they don't believe in themselves. And then what happens is they continue to replay the same karmic theme of being victimized, of almost being bullied. It's like almost being like the same energy of as they experienced as a child, that trauma of being bullied by a kid. It's again being bullied by people that they work with, people that they wind up dating, people, everyone turns into the bad person. They don't understand, they're not seeing what they do. So understand the underlying energy that you're going to write is shame, but this is heavy energy. This is dark energy because people can not like themselves. So you're going to see a lot of like their action is very prideful. And you're going to say, did they not care? They not care. Well, obviously they're not emotionally intelligent because it's coming from places of survival. You only care about yourself. And it's that this person doesn't feel. And when I say they don't feel, when you live in trauma for long periods of time, you detach from yourself and you disassociate from yourself. So you know what happened, but it's only from a logical, analytical form. There's no feeling towards it because the feeling was numb a long time ago, numb to the point of detachment. So detachment is almost like you're watching yourself go through the experience. You haven't gone through the experience, but you've watched that. So, like I said, we're going to see very heavy energy because what we see is what happened to this person was betrayal, which when then we see mistrust, we're going to see intimacy issues. Intimacy, that's what trust is on its core level. So trust has everything to do with how we trust ourselves. However, we tend to perceive, I don't trust that person. And Spirit always says you have to trust yourself by having discernment. So this person continues to, again, not trust because they never integrate the spiritual lesson. So we see very dark energy. So, I mean, when we see the triggers, don't be surprised. And then, you're going to see paradoxical energy too, because this person, there is a dust part of self, and the dust part of self is the part that holds shadows, but the deity part of self, this part of self that you and I are connected to right now, is felt as empathy, sensitivity. It's of the higher self, the God part of self. Well, that knows what unconditional love is. This is why a person is always able to restore themselves. They're always able to restore themselves because they integrate the spiritual, you can integrate the spiritual lesson. But we have to understand there's many different ways, levels of consciousness that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness needs to be of the highest, which is always to see things through a place of unconditional love, which this person obviously needs to get to a place of unconditional love. But we know that they're not going to be nice in this story because, again, it's very survival, very selfish. And when you're in survival, you're like a horse that has blinders on. You don't see anything except for like what's happening. So rebellious. So again, this person like felt so inadequate about themselves. They wanted to appear like different, or like really because they felt of how they really feel like inside of themselves. And like you said, people that have been bullied and been conditioned, they're very fearful. And that alone doesn't make a person feel good. When they detach, when you don't know what you feel, you're not going to be emotionally intelligent. So just communicating to other people. People are going to take you as you're always going to say things the wrong time. People are not going to connect with you, not on a deep, soulful level. And so you're not going to really make an impression on a person, or the impression is that you're a little phony. And so where again, this person has taken on a persona due to their inadequacy. I'm going to be rebellious, which means I'm just going to like act like I don't need to have love. Like I don't need to, uh, like I don't care. And that's because, again, they don't really have a persona. And it's almost like, remember the kids back in high school that they had low self-esteem, and then the next thing that you saw them like smoking cigarettes by like the gym doors, somebody that that would be really nice and would be very artistic or would have other talents, but that person you could see had a dark side to them. Well, kind of like that they took on a persona. And the persona is like, well, I don't want to walk around feeling bad about myself. What does a person feel bad about themselves look like? I would rather appear rebellious. I'd rather appear like I don't need love. I'd rather appear like I don't need to fit in. When really I feel like this person is so they're consumed by their pain. And in the fact that they're consumed by their pain, they tend to create a lot of drama within their situation. And they create the drama within the situation because they don't really feel like they're lovable. So they always have to antagonize, they always have to consume the person that they're with with, again, doing stupid things to get the attention, to get the love, to get the support. It's kind of like very narcissistic energy. So again, just wants to be like consumed, extremely consumed with, pay attention to me. Like it's like, if you're not throwing yourself at me, if you're not chasing after me, if you're not like, which would be ridiculous, but this is what this person needs in order for them to really believe that anyone could really love them that much. And that's what feels comfortable. So when a person is blocked to the point where they have lived in survival for long periods of time, they don't, because they perceive that they're unlovable, it's the, no matter how much you give, it's not going to be enough. It's like, because the person's perception of what you should do should be so much more than it actually is. And what happens is the person actually comes across as if there's a sense of entitlement, like you should do it, you should want to do it. And this is where the ego comes into play, where again, that ego is not going to say, I feel bad, I'm defective. No, what it's going to say is, you should do it. If you really care about me, if you really love me, what's going to take over is pride. And all because, again, they don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel good about themselves because their experience is shame. So this person bases a lot on status, a lot on like their reputation, a lot on outside things, the material things, and in order to feel good, but then they lack the deep emotional connection. So again, that's why they have to create drama. You gotta really make me love, which it's stupid because the whole time you're like, I feel like I can't trust you at all. Like you're always like trying to like deceive me. Like you said, pretend that you're one person, and then I see another person like emerge, and that's because the mask sometimes comes off. This person forgets. There is a part of them that is connected to you, and that part is of unconditional love, right? So when we have unconditional love for someone, we wind up like getting comfortable, like especially if the person feels like home. It's a soulmate, past life, karmic mate, that's a soul that recognizes and feels like home. You may say, even if that person screws you over, they feel like home. They were meant to come into your life, even if it was just to teach. You did not know that that's why they felt like home, but understand that that soul has agreed. So I feel like there's a part of this person that connects very deeply with you, the spiritual connection, that eventually, the mask comes down, but then what happens is that then they become conscious almost, and then back on guard and survival mode, and they let you back out. So you're like, who am I dealing with? Who are you? Like, what are you trying to get over? Did you get off last night because I like slept over? Like, what, like, did you get over on me because you forgot me to like show some sort of emotion, give you something? It's like, and now you like shut down. It's like where you're not gonna, like, you can't keep the flow of it. Like you keep breaking that flow, like creating unnecessary drama, which again is that serotonin. It's like the epinephrine rush, which it's not serotonin, but it mirrors that high where that I said this person's addicted to, and it's very manic type energy. And then so again, and in this person like what is expected you to be like dutiful, right? Like just expecting you to be very nurturing to this person. It's again, and that's because of their ego. So if I'm and where this person wasn't giving you as much as what they wanted, but they would give other people a lot more. And that was a way too that you felt like you're trying to keep me subservient. And this person, they overcompensate for the lack that they feel within themselves. So what would be, a little hint, when you do a little hint and a person gets that hint, this person does overcompensate because they're not coming from their true self, their higher self. They're trying to imagine per se what it would look like to be confident, and what it feels like to be powerful, and what it feels like to have status. And in that, they're not going to let you that close to them because they're trying to create the facade. And their way was to actually, well, their way was to again seem as if they were powerful and so busy and important, but what it made you feel was like you're ignoring me. It's like, and I'm not going to chase after you because I think that you're so powerful. And so, where I also feel like this person tended to date people of a very low vibration themselves, which, those things are really important a lot of times. And if you grow up in an environment where there was a lack of money, which this person grew up with a lot of trauma. So, a lot of trauma due to, again, their parents, their ancestors. So there was a lack of money, there was a lack of support. And that's comes also not just in the psychological and the emotional, but the financial. And so this person didn't have that. And so again, which made that person's father feel inadequate, like have problems. So it's again, even though this person feels inadequate, they'll like overgive and overdo to their family, but not to anyone else. And then that also keeps you outside. So again, so this person isn't coming from like a balanced place where they're, feel good about themselves, knows how much to give to you, how much to give to the family, and wants to give to you. This person is more or less like, I like to hold on to you, um, but I need for it to look like, again, that you're going to be dutiful to me, even though I'm going to give all my energy everywhere else, because I kind of want you to be subservient to me, because I don't really feel like you love me unless I see that you're really like giving of yourself. And that means abandoning other areas of your life and that's again how this person plays out, and why their relationships don't work out. Yeah, where it's again like they revealed a lot to you in their behaviors. Like I think that when you were hanging out with them, you like, I can see more and more every day exactly like how much trauma you have, and that in that you're never really going to be able to give me anything. No, I mean, let's face it, it's like you didn't know who you were dealing with. And it's like, and then on top of it, this person, like, the take it or leave it vibe, the rebellious vibe of, I don't know, it's like, why am I in a relationship that you're going to try and make me feel powerless? But little did they know that I feel like that's when you were like, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm definitely not going to play this game where it's like you want me to be subservient to you. It's like, but that's what a person that has a lot of trauma that lives in survival, they don't trust themselves. So they don't trust anybody. And so their way is to control the entire relationship, but they're going into the relationship focused on the fact that the relationship isn't going to work, because they're saying, I need to do this to protect myself. So the focus is on not being protected. So again, they don't get good results. It's like, and you're like, there's nothing I could do for that. I'm not going to let the weakest person drive the bus here. Like the person that doesn't know how to drive, rather drive the bus here. It's like, that's the weakest link. And then what happened is like this person's also very connects with a very physical, less normal, and I feel like you wouldn't do it. I feel like you just were like, I'm not gonna sleep with you. I'm not gonna like again. So unless you are like very sexual and giving yourself up and really making this person feel desirable, but almost to a point that was abandoning what you need because you're also not going to get that from this person. And then you get, and then when you guys would fight, it's like you wanted this person to show up for you. And what I see all through this is like they fought being accountable, right? I don't want to be accountable. I don't I don't want to heal my trauma. I don't want to fix the things that aren't working in my life. But I want you to come into my life and I want you to be in my life the way I would want you to be in my life. And that's pretty much, for my needs, for my emotional support. And the irony is it's like they're so depleted and so worried about their emotional support that they never even think about your emotional support. It's like never once. Like I feel like you feel like this person like would rather like strategize to try and get to you instead of be open and vulnerable. And that's the thing. It's like they can't be vulnerable. So, but they want that love. They want that connection. They want, and so it's like I feel like they're used to being able to get it because they deal with people that obviously don't know what they're worth, don't have other things going on in their life, don't know who they are. I'm not going to give in to fear. I know fear is only an illusion. So this person knows that they're full of fear, and that's really what it is. It's like they the relationship makes them have to feel. And this person again disassociated from themselves. So having to feel different feelings brings them back to again all their feelings, makes them think about their life, makes them it's real, it's not surface. This person can play along for the day. He or she can rush into a relationship, have a one night stand, no problem. And it may be a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, become everything you want them to become, but they can't do it longer than that because, again, the mask. And so with you, there really is a connection, and that's what the problem is. It's like the person doesn't do all of this in order to like because they don't care about the person. They do all of that because they do. They just want it on their terms. Problem is that you'll get into a relationship and accommodate someone like this, and they'll leave you anyway. And they'll leave you anyway. And the reason why that they'll leave you is because you abandon yourself and now you're no longer the person that they put on a pedestal. That's the irony of it. But when you're with them, they're the weakest link per se, and they're like emotionally antagonizing you to do what they want you to do, where you're the one that's always caving, you're the one that's always apologizing, you're the one that's always to build this person's ego. And what happens is it diminishes like who you are. And so, like you said, and then obviously what happens is you feel like you don't really have any power. So what you do is you're like, obviously, I'm not going to sleep with you. You need that. That's important to you. But to me, it's more than just a sex act. Like there's an emotional connection is what I feel like you feel. So our energy is stagnant. Triggers sometimes happen to break this stagnancy and help the energy flow again. So again, this person doesn't know how to have a conversation. So again, so what they'll do is they deliberately start a fight to like, again, so that you'll talk to them, so that it's all again to create some sort of fake passion, like not fake passion, but it's that low vibe passion. It's very primal. It's like, oh, we're getting into a big fight and then wind up in the bedroom, and then so that we have to make up, and it's so dramatic. It's again, this is what this person does. They overcompensate for the lack, like where you're like, okay, why do I feel like this is over the top? Like, what am I in? Like some soap opera? Am I in Channel 7 soap opera? Like right now, like that is like where we're playing this part, like everything has to be, well, it's all that because it's a distraction from what's really going on inside of them. It's almost like they feel embarrassed. They don't know what they feel. And so, like you said, instead of just having a conversation and being vulnerable and explaining, so it's almost like it doesn't need this hard. And then again, my ego is fragile to criticism and rejection. I create walls to protect myself. So it's again, what we see here is that all the behaviorisms, starting a fight, and then again, when you don't like it and you tell me something I don't like, I'm gonna stonewall you. I'm not gonna let you in, and now I'm gonna take my love away from you. That's that avoidant, anxious attachment style, where if you're someone that has the anxious attachment style, where you're like, I need love. It's like that's what this person does. They're like, oh, well, you know what? You're not doing what I want you to do. Well, I'm gonna put the wall up. I'm gonna take my love away. You're gonna feel my absence. You're gonna feel that, I'm not pleased. And I'm gonna lead by my ego. Words have hurt me in the past, and that's why I fear talking to you. So again, all their baggage from the past. So, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't take the time to get to know relationships or something that happened over time, intimacy is trust, and that you have to be able to communicate in order to trust. This person is more like, again, tries to intuit things, but they're all blocked up. So what they're not seeing is what's really there. They're seeing what's they're afraid might happen. And it's like they're delusional. It's like that's not what's happening. No, it's not, but they're coming from their wound. So, and the problem is if a person went through their trauma at 13 years old, well, guess what? They're stagnant at that age. So you can be dealing with someone like in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, they're at all different ages, and they're stuck at 13, like because of whenever the trauma is. They never fully developed it. And that's what the issue is. And this is, you think I'm not listening to you, but I am. I hear everything you say. And even we replay our conversations in our head, but I can't communicate. So again, this person does have feelings, but their own trauma of, I refuse to be vulnerable. I refuse to be vulnerable. I'm not emotionally intelligent, and I'm not emotionally intelligent because I learned how to survive by having my head in a book, by studying, by reading, by being very logical and analytical, because this person, if they allow themselves, they feel like they would get stuck in the emotion. They would get stuck in the pain. And that's why it's like it's like, well, I can't, if I don't communicate, then I don't have to show my emotions. And the thing is every time I say something, I say the wrong thing. And again, can't really pick up on cues, don't notice. It's a survival mechanism that a person isn't there, just coming from their point of view. I'm praying you'll come back after everything that's happened between us. I worry that you won't forgive me and allow me another chance. So I feel like it's not that this person doesn't have feelings. They clearly do, but they're not coming back to you. the ego. So again, you may say like, well, why would this person want to come back? They treat me like shit. It's like, remember, it's like person, it's like they don't see what they do. They only see things from their level of consciousness. And if you're coming from your wound, it's like, and this person, his wound is that they grew up in an environment that there was very codependent, toxic relationship. And to the point that there was a lot of abuse that went on, to the point that it was either sexual abuse or and a lot of bullying and a lot of where this person did not feel safe. And so there's a sense of that karmic, and understand this too, you might not have even been sexually abused, but it comes up as sexually abused if you were violated and victimized by a parent at such a young age. I know because it always came up for me in my readings that I was sexually abused, and I was never sexually abused. It's that I was violated emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, violated, where I didn't feel safe, and it's extreme
From WhatsApp.
trauma,
Angelilla, a white to YouTube. Yes, I know.
Like severe trauma. So I think that that's like what it is. Baggage. And that's what I'm telling you. It's like this person just has so much baggage. It's like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, because I'm saying, what is the deal? And the deal is like this person doesn't see how they react. They're not conscious. When we say awaken, what do we think that it means? It means to awaken to your true potentiality is to realize that you need to heal, and that those those behaviorisms, those habits that you created for survival in your childhood, that they are no longer, like, you have to drop what no longer serves. When they say let go, it means let go of what, and the only way to let go is to integrate the spiritual lesson. This person just goes from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, and they just keeps on collecting the baggage. So this person's perceptions are all like distorted. It's like, and they're distorted because they're coming from survival, and they're not, it's hard to be present if you're that traumatized. Everything's an emotional trigger. So again, yeah, I feel like you're like breaking free, because you're like, it's like, no, I'm breaking free. And the reason why is because obviously, like, you went within, again, you did a lot of like self-reflection, and like I feel like it brought up a lot of stuff within inside of you. Like it's like there's things that you're doing in your life, first of all, that you don't want this person to like to jeopardize your peace, your life. That's number one. Number two, I feel like you just observed too much within this person. Really, that's what that is. It's that, it's like once you did a lot of reflection, you did a lot of, so I feel like there was just things within this person that like they just did too many things that were really in your face. And I feel like it's their time ran out. Their time ran out to like to fix it. And by the time that they like really even wanted to fix it, it's like they would want to fix it now, but I feel like you're just in a different place. But it's like, but I do see is that you're dealing with a person that has a lot of spiritual blocks. So they're not aware of really like what plays out in their relationships because they just have so much baggage that happened in childhood. And then the problem is that when you are bullied, like there's a sense of never feeling safe. And when you never feel safe, what winds up happening is that you only care about yourself. So that this person can't see any farther than that per se. They see everything through the lens of survival. So it doesn't mean that they don't love. And it doesn't even mean that they don't want to fix it. But the good thing is that you're aware of it. You're aware for when they come back, and you'd be like, why would they come back? Because you will be because in the beginning of the connection, before you saw all of it, you really were genuine. You really did love. And the issue is that, now that this person hasn't been around you and they've had time to really think about it and they've had time that their emotions are not getting in their own way. They're not getting overstimulated from their emotions, I should say. They're able to, not just think about it, but like feel it emotionally, but definitely tap into logically like their feelings, because I believe that this person like is very logical and analytical, and they had to they had to see certain things within themselves and actually within the connection. See, I wish I could say what I really feel. Someday I will, but right now I'm still afraid to be myself. So their way is to you know they would love for you to reach out to them. Do I see them reaching out to you? No. It's like because they're not healed, but do they care? Yes, I feel like, but it's almost like they know that they did so much. I think that they think that, let me just see something. Yeah, they're too needy. They know again that they would have to be vulnerable, and they can't do it. They just can't do it. And so that's what they struggle with. And it's because they just don't feel safe. And so unless you're gonna give up who you are and really go to them and say, hey, let's figure it out. Hey, let's get together and give it, then this person's not gonna do it. And that's what they said through the whole reading. Whole reading is that this person needed you to fall all over them, chase them, abandon yourself in order for them to feel comfortable. And because you didn't do it, that's how this started. It's like, well, I'm going to punish you. And then it's again so long of playing this game that, of course, you're like, I don't really want this anymore, because it's like, I'm not getting anything. So, like I said, I feel like this person's used to dating people of lower hanging fruit. So they were surprised because, again, you came in giving a lot of love. So we have to say when we get a reading like this, it's never good because the person, it started off with shame, which I knew wouldn't be good. Um, but we have to say, why did you attract this person? You're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. You have to say every relationship, there's a reason why and it's the universe's way of supporting you to help you heal, to help you evolve, to help you um, learn the lesson of unconditional love. And sometimes you may say, well, I got hurt. Well, again, you didn't learn the spiritual lesson, but the unconditional love was what you felt for that person. But a lot of times the message is just having unconditional love for yourself. I'm going to take those two, physical touch and inner authority, just because I never believe in any mistakes. But when we look, it's like resilience. wonder, hope. I'm going to take optimist, which I actually feel like this is a gift. Now, I feel like when you were growing up, you just didn't get the emotional support that you needed. I always associate physical touch with emotional touch, like feeling safe, feeling, and again, this tells me this too, of like, I just feel like maybe your parents weren't around, they worked all the time. You pretty much had to figure things out on your own. I'm not feeling major trauma. And that's the thing. You don't need to have a lot of trauma to attract a person that has that type of trauma. That person that, again, that we just read about in this story has a lot of trauma. Their behaviorism showed you that. Um, but I do feel like, again, there's only two energies, love and fear. So if you feel inadequate, if you don't feel safe, like, and what I feel like you didn't emotionally get what you needed. So unless you give it to yourself, you're going to be depleted. And so but I feel like you always had a good sense of intuition. Inner authority is not. And I feel like this is what made it difficult for this person. It's like, and which tells me again that it was karmic, because are you going to listen to your true self, your higher self? Are you going to do? And I feel like you were like, yes, I am. And so, and I feel like it's because you learned how to do for yourself. And I feel like, believe it or not, this connection, like for you, like did teach you that you have to give it to yourself, and also taught you that you have a lot of resilience to put up with this, because this person definitely tried to wear you down and manipulate. But in the end, I feel like hope and optimist is like these are positive cards. They're actually gifts. I feel like you're a highly sensitive person that you would like, you've done a lot for yourself. And I say this because there's wonder, and I love this card, and I'll tell you why. Because this represents the wonder in you, the wonder in the world. It's like it's a time now for you to like invest in yourself. And when I say invest in yourself, go out and explore. Find the things that you love to do. Invest in the things that you would like to do. Invest in yourself. Find the things that stir up your soul and fill you up with passion so that you can really attract what you want, the emotion. Give yourself that emotional support. This way, when a person comes into your life, you can recognize when they're giving it and when they're not. That's number one. And number two, I feel like because you grew up where like, I don't feel like it was horrible. I just feel like, parents were kind of strict, and it was go to school, get educated, do this, do that. And there wasn't, you never really felt that lovey-dovey, like supportive energy. It was just more like somebody always seemed angry, or someone always seemed too busy, or whatever it was. So you didn't want to create waves. You were expected to go to school, maybe play a sport, hang out with your friends, live a very ordinary life. But again, you needed to have very strict and rigid rules, which meant that you weren't able to go out and explore, to find your own unique things in life that contribute to what makes you you. See, our own unique individuality is something that we create, and we create because it's, again, we go out, we try things, we're called to go different places and see different things and do different things, and it's what calls to us. It's what means something to us. It's the passions of life. We're saying it's like the wonder in the world is the magic in the world. And if you haven't gone out into the world and really known, do you really know who you are? It's like there's parts of you that don't know who you are. And there's parts of you that would not really, that definitely don't feel safe. So I feel like you're someone that was optimistic, but I feel like you're someone that's optimistic now because you've created a lot of opportunities for yourself. There's a lot of hope for what you've created. Like that's a whole new world that like you have hope where like it's like I feel like I don't need to be with somebody that has so much baggage that I would have to pay for. And that's really what it comes down to, that this person hasn't healed, and that though they have feelings, they would continue to take out all their problems, all their issues, and make you, and you would be expected to be like the fixer, the healer, the doer for this person, and get really nothing in advance because they can't give. And so, like, not consistently anyway. And so, what Spirit is saying is put the time and energy into yourself, you know, have the hope and be optimistic about your future because you created that. It's like your emotional support will come from you giving it to yourself, not this person. This is again like a mirror of what it felt like growing up, where you're the person that had to like do everything for yourself. And it's okay that you do everything for yourself so that you know how to do it, so you can always have your cup filled. But when you're doing it for yourself fully, you attract it. And Spirit says you're not doing it enough for yourself. You haven't filled your cup up all the way. And so because of that, this person is, they're not going to really appreciate you because they're caught up in their drama. And it doesn't matter that they like have feelings for you. Of course, they're a soulmate. So if there is feelings, there always will be feelings, but it's not enough because they have to do the work. Otherwise, you're going to be depleted. So we always end it off by asking Spirit, well, what is the energy that we should end this off with? What should we know? What should we do? And what Spirit says is inner strength. Boo, no, I'm only kidding. But that's really what Spirit's saying. It's like the wonder in you, the passions in you, what makes you you is what's going to give you the inner strength, because emotionally you won't need to like that's what gives you emotionally, that's what gives you the inner strength, because you're doing it for yourself. It's like, so you won't sway, right? You'll be able to be grounded in what means something to you in your standpoint. So it's like this says here is nothing moves me from my path to the light. And the light is love, unconditional love. And that's by doing what you love. So your soul's purpose, by connecting you to people that you love, and also to become the best version of yourself, which is to evolve back into the state of unconditional love. I release my innate qualities and abilities and know that with God, I can do anything. All the power I need is within me. And I did state that, I think, in the beginning of this reading, that it's again that the power that we don't need codependent relationships when we're strong within ourselves. And what Spirit is saying is this happened because you're not strong enough within yourself. And so I needed to bring you this energy, like almost like as a test. Are you going to choose you, or are you going to choose this? Are you going to choose what's familiar and bland, even though you grew out of it? Or are you going to bank on yourself? And what you did was you said, I think then back on myself, that I'm pretty optimistic. I have a lot of hope about the future. And you're just not bringing enough here. And so in the end, that person has to eat the karma. it's an opportunity for them to learn and to heal, but I don't think that they're gonna do it. It's again, well, this says it ignites it, so it encourages it. So again, they may accelerate their healing now. They might, again, because this person, but like I think the way that it was done, the way that it was done so eloquently, again, made this person like really see it wasn't done with fireworks. You just kind of like bowed out. And so that's where this person was made to look at themselves. And also because they really do have feelings. It's just they're really like need spiritual help. I'm gonna leave that there. You let me know whether you resonated, Scorpio. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.